So 2025 in terms of superheroes was a bit of a resurgence for me. My interest in them had been waning, and in hindsight I believe that was just MCU fatigue, and the slow start Marvel had for their plans post-Endgame. Endgame is 7 years old now. The two things that sort of opened my eyes to that was first early in the year with Marvel Rivals, which I did a video on that is now horribly outdated due to me both having more experience with the game and also multiple new seasons changing things, so I won't be linking it. But still, it was a fresh new look into Marvel's roster outside of the MCU movie screen, and that has been great for the franchises featured. But later in the year, another superhero themed property would take the internet by storm, and that's the topic of today's video. Dispatch is a resurgence of the TellTale style of adventure game produced by Ad Hoc, the company behind The Wolf Among Us. And while I missed the initial hype train, around the release of episode 6 I heard about the game from my friend Jordan, and decided to finally buy it right after the final episode came out. I can say now I already love the game, but beyond that I'm going to give spoiler warnings for this video. If you really want the best experience, I say you should go buy the game and jump in totally blind. But if you do need a bit more convincing, I'll do this video a little differently from my others. I'll cover the gameplay first to avoid some spoilers. I can't guarantee I won't accidentally spoil something anyway, but I'll try. Then after I cover the gameplay, all guardrails are off, and I'll dive fully into the game's plot. So a bit of an inverse from the usual, but for this type of game, necessary.
As I said, Dispatch is a game developed by Ad Hoc and is a TellTale style game. The game went through development hell as it initially started as a project to be recording live action, but had to pivot to it being animated. Then there was the pandemic that delayed progress, and the company almost went bankrupt before Critical Role stepped in to fund the project the rest of the way, and I think at one point they even considered making it just a TV show so that they could get out what they could. Still, Dispatch managed to release, and as I said in the intro, we'll start with the gameplay this time around. You play as Robert, voiced by Aaron Paul, who most will recognize probably from Breaking Bad. He's a dispatcher for superheroes, and gameplay is split into two parts. First you have the TellTale story sections, which don't worry, for this part of the video I'm just showing trailer footage. And throughout these sections you just watch cutscenes until a choice appears, then you make your choice. It's simple, but also what made this style of game popular, to have influence on how a scene plays out, almost as if you're a part of the story. There are also quick time events if you have that turned on to keep you on your toes. The main part of the actual gameplay comes in the second portion, the dispatch shifts. In each episode you'll have 1 or 2 dispatch shifts, and you'll have a roster of heroes at your disposal based on actions you make in the story sections, and you'll get to assign them to different emergency calls based on who you think can do it best. Or if things get tight, whoever you have left available. Each hero has their own sets of attributes that can be leveled up, and each assignment will need certain attributes to complete. Not matching what a job needs won't necessarily mean failure, but the chances of success decrease rather quickly when you don't send the right people. Once a hero completes a task, you have to wait for them to rest, and you'll have to check to see if they completed or failed their last assignment before you can send them out again. While many jobs allow you to send multiple people and increase the chances of success, because of the rest period you have to be careful about when you do this, as you can easily overstretch your roster if you send too many heroes on a job that doesn't need them. Sending multiple heroes on the same call can also grant perks if you have 2 that have good synergy, increasing the chance of success, so it's all about balancing what you can do. Heroes can also gain abilities through training that can range from being able to fly for faster response times, healing teammates, boosting their stacks under the right conditions, and so on. Failure to complete a call successfully will result in a hero getting hurt, where their stacks decrease, and if they get hurt again, you'll lose them for the remainder of the shift. Some calls will have you need to give further instructions on how to handle them, and you have to get them right for success. Sometimes your instructions can also be to use a hero's superpower, causing automatic success or failure. There actually is a third element of the gameplay, hacking. This is available for different calls during dispatch shifts, but can also be incorporated into story sequences as well. These are simple puzzle mazes where you use the arrow keys to input codes to change paths, transfer power around, and avoid antivirus software. It is fun and a bit basic. Overall, I'm impressed that Dispatch has fun gameplay outside of story cutscenes, because TellTale was infamous for boring gameplay sections that involved walking around lifeless areas with bare bones puzzles just for the sake of being called an adventure game. Dispatch breaks this cycle and offers a sort of strategy game that I found fun. Really, my only complaint is that the calls you have to answer are predetermined from the looks of it, and the game only has so many dispatching shifts. I honestly would have loved if this game had an endless mode of randomly generating shifts. I'll make a roguelike where doing all expands my roster and their abilities.
Now again, if you want to play Dispatch, this is your final warning to click off the video, and hopefully come back later. I'm going to dive into the story now, and I feel like experiencing the story for yourself and what choices you make is the entire point of the game. The dispatching gameplay is fun, but it's not the draw of the game.
So you don't just play as Robert, you play as Robert Robertson III, who is the superhero Mecha Man. If you want the easiest comparison possible, he is Iron Man except his main suit is the Hulkbuster. And he's also broke at this point. He isn't just Mecha Man, he is the third Mecha Man, and the previous two Mecha Men, being his grandfather and father, both died in the suit. Robert's father was specifically killed by the villain Straug, and the game opens up with Robert interrogating for Straug's location and going to find him. The man Robert interrogated is there waiting for him, being the supervillain Toxic. A whole array of supervillains then overwhelm Mecha Man before Straug appears. Toxic tries to taunt Robert out of the suit and informs us, the player, through these taunts that Straug wants the Astral Pulse, the blue energy tube powering the suit. If you want another Iron Man comparison, it's basically the arc reactor. Robert manages to get away only for there to be a bomb on his suit that goes off and he falls to the ground. Upon recovering, he informs the press he's being forced to retire due to the suit being damaged beyond what he can repair, and we later find out he was also unable to find where the Astral Pulse went, if it even survived the bomb blast. After, Robert tries to play hero with broken arm when some petty thieves rob an electronics store and promptly gets his ass beat. He's saved though by the superhero Blonde Blazer, who is looking for Mecha Man, and takes Robert to a nearby superhero bar. There the two get drunk and Robert gets into a scuffle with some former bad guys, Flambe, Punch Up, and Coupe. Flambe really doesn't like Mecha Man and feels the need to be a dick. All until Robert splashes him with either water or alcohol, and the scene gets Robert kicked out of the bar and banned. Blonde Blazer then takes him to a billboard to offer him the dispatcher job, and in exchange, the company she works for will repair the Mecha Man suit. During this scene, another element of the game also stalks the romance.
Alright, so someone online in a semi-viral post, I don't know how viral it actually was, but I saw it, and they basically said Dispatch is the male version of Twilight. And fuck me, I can't say they're wrong.
So in the story, you have basically three options. You can either romance Blonde Blazer, or the villain turned hero Invisigal you meet in episode 2, or you can actually not commit HR violations. Regardless though, in episode 1 you have the option to kiss Blonde Blazer, which is a big misunderstanding if you do, and business as usual if you don't. In episode 2 you're introduced to SDN and the Z-Team, a band of former villains working at SDN to become heroes. This Z-Team is who Robert will be tasked with leading, and it comprises of Invisigal, the three you met at the bar in Flambe, Punch Up, and Coupe, the human bat hybrid Sonar, Popstar Prism, the demon woman Mevela, as well as the clay mask Golem. You also meet Chase, an old friend of Robert whose super speed powers has caused him to age at super speeds into an old man. Chase is one of the best characters in the game, and really he is pretty funny and really likable. You also meet Roy, who besides being a total bro, is the one who helps Robert rebuild his mecha suit, and has plans to help him recreate the Astral Pulse. From here the story takes a while to focus on Robert trying to get the Z-Team's act together as they all basically suck at saving people. This is made worse by the fact that someone is getting cut from the team, leading everyone to sabotage each other during the dispatch shifts. In terms of your romantic options, regardless of who you're pursuing, you'll find out that Blonde Blazer is dating Phenomenon, basically Superman if he was as naive about Earth as Starfire from the Teen Titans. Though if you did kiss Blonde Blazer in episode 1, his introduction is less calm and innocent and more Omni-Man with the sinister music. With Invisigal, you got more than just a romance option going on, as Robert is basically tasked with mentoring her to help her reform. This starts with her taking on a supervillain at a donut shop where the owner ends up getting hurt and the villain gets away. Later on, Invisigal tries to quit the team herself, but a motivational speech from Robert gets her going, and she wants to get encounters a villain that she let get away, and ultimately ends up bringing him in with an arrest. Here you then get a major decision in cutting Sonar or Coupe from your team, with either getting upset when you cut them. Not too long after, you end up getting a decision to tag either Waterboy, who you just met at the start of episode 2 before he became the SDN janitor, or a very depressed Phenomena Man. Turns out that after he takes Blonde Blazer to Tokyo for sushi, she breaks up with him. Something you learn in one of the game's prequel tie-in comics she had been planning for a long time because he only sees the superhero in her and not her personal self. This is where the Blonde Blazer romance route opens up.
And Blonde Blazer is the correct option. She's the walking green flag, and Visigal is the walking red flag. The choice is pretty obvious. Team Mandy for me. You'll understand that in a minute. Let's talk about Invisigal 2.
Invisigal's romance path opens up around the same time. After Robert helps her not get kicked off the Z team, she has a very inappropriate dream about him and develops romantic feelings. Now, while Blonde Blazer in terms of who the characters are is the best option in my opinion, Invisigal's romance route certainly fixing the game's plot better as Robert mentors her. It just means the two interact more, and those interactions play a more prominent role in the story. Though you'll still have multiple moments with both women, eventually leading to an option to have a date with either. Blonde Blazer texts Robert asking him out to dinner, and Visigal snuck into a movie theater. If you choose Blonde Blazer, you find out she's really a hot brunette named Mandy, as if she couldn't get any better. She's pretty self-conscious about her true self because everyone loves her for Blonde Blazer. Now, you don't have to be Team Mandy when she asks after the date, but you're a fucking dick if you aren't Team Mandy.
It's what she wants. She wants to be loved for who she is and not the superhero. Plus, on top of that, hot brunette. Come on. And she's also a blonde? Everyone knows the best blondes are just brunettes with bleached hair. It's literally the best of both worlds.
On the Invisigal side of things, you can go to the movie with her where Robert buys her popcorn and Sour Patch Kids. And after this, she officially states it was a date later when the Z team all goes to a bar, which we'll talk more about later. From here, you've basically locked in your romance option. If you want Blazer, the only way to not get the Blazer romance ending is to take the one chance you get later to cheat on her with Invisigal. And if you want Invisigal, the only way it fails is to get the bag ending. And yeah, there is the HR-friendly route where you reject both, though the date scenes are forced. It's just that after you can tell the woman those weren't takes if you really want to. Later scenes in the game do change based on who you picked, with Blonde Blazer being a lot more affectionate in different scenes to reflect her and Robert's relationship. And with Invisigal, you usually get boosts to improve your chances of getting the good ending, not that you need to date her to successfully mentor her for the good ending. Beyond that, your choice will mostly lead to changing parts of whatever ending you get. To get back into the actual plot for now, after a successful day, the Z team goes to a villain ball where they get into it with some of Straug's goons. After fight, there's a heartfelt moment where Robert can either reveal that he's Mech Man to the team, or not. Which if you do reveal he's Mech Man, it makes Flambe really upset to where he tries to incinerate Robert with the team stepping in to help save him, or Flambe being very suspicious. Regardless, the team reveals their actual names, including Visigal's name being Courtney. After this, Robert gets hurt when a test of his suit fails, with each attempt to recreate the Astropulse having not worked yet, and this one lands Robert in the hospital bed for a short time. This has Roy discouraged as he starts to doubt his abilities. I will say I can get how it can be upsetting for him to fail to create the new Astropulse, but Robert tells them they can start testing alternative power sources for the suit, and he's still pretty upset. I get the Astropulse is super powerful and holds a significant part of this game's plot, but it's very clear that Robert's father created it, which means the Mech Man suit was powered by other means up until that point. I think this only bugs me because Roy phrases it as he can't make the man mecha again. But that isn't the problem. He's more than capable of fixing the suit, he just can't recreate the Astropulse. That's what he's upset about, which is fair in the story, it's fitting that he'd be upset after failing. But that wording is a little off. After Roy leaves, Chase tells Robert about his disdain for Invisigal, trying to warn him about her. Regardless of how you have Robert react, he gets back to work for more dispatching, where we do find out that Blonde Blazer is really bad at it. Once things are cleaned up, later that night the Z-Team make their way to Robert's apartment because Invisigal managed to track down the Astral Pulse due to numerous petty thieves passing it around until they blow their shit up trying to use it. The Z-Team start work out a plan while also having a party where Blonde Blazer pumps the brakes on everything being executed that night after the plan is sorted out. This causes an argument between her and Invisigal in which you can take either side before a drunk Chase bucks in. At this point, if the Z-Team doesn't know Robert is Mecha Man, Chase lets the secret slip to everyone's surprise. Either way, Invisigal gets so upset she punches Chase before running off. After the party clears out, Robert and Chase have a bit of a heart-to-heart moment, talk about everything as well as their past, until Robert finds out Invisigal snuck off to try and retrieve the Astral Pulse by herself. The place is also filled to the brim with villains trying to get the pulse for themselves. Robert helps her from the computer like the couple of times he's done before already, and eventually she gets the Astral Pulse right before the power goes out. No, not like that. In the darkness, Robert then sees Stroud right before it's too late, and he attacks Invisigal. He toys with her, kicking her inhaler around before Chase uses his super speed to go save her. Stroud is able to get away with the pulse, and Chase, after saving Invisigal, collapses into a coma. This all gets Invisigal into a lot of trouble where she's suspended from the Z-Team, and everyone is upset that Chase got hurt by things. This all leads to the Z-Team getting together and demanding Robert cut her. Depending on your choices, you can either let them make the decision which does cut Invisigal from the team, or you can stand up for her and that ultimately drops the morale of the team. Either way, Invisigal was eavesdropping and storms away with Robert following her into a locker room. Here, Invisigal admits she was the one who planted the bomb on Robert's suit in exchange for Stroud give her augments to help her with her asthma. However, the augments conveniently stopped working, so she sought to turn over a new leaf by joining the Z-Team. She then vents that she just wished someone could look at her the way people look at Blonde Blazer, especially Robert. Considering she says this regardless of if you're dating her or not, the context is whatever you apply. Seems to mean looking at her like a beloved hero, though you could easily take it as her just wanting Robert's love if you are on the Blonde Blazer route. Throughout the game, there are moments such as at the party at Robert's apartment where she is clearly jealous if you're not dating her. Either way, this moment is also where if you are on the Blonde Blazer route and have done enough for Invisigal to still be a romantic option, you have a chance to cheat on her by leaning into the kiss Invisigal forces on Robert, or you can lean out of it. And of course, if you're on the Invisigal romance route, your best option is to just go ahead and lean into it.
It's little moments like these that help make the Invisigal romance better in terms of the overall story. There's no question that she wants to be redeemed when she talks about Blonde Blazer weighing on her romance route because she isn't being jealous of Robert dating Mandy the entire time. And throughout the game, little extra scenes give additional screen time to the two being together, like in the bar before the bar fight and lead into whatever ending you get.
Now, plenty of choices work just as well for the mentorship without dating her, such as the speech Robert gives when you stick up for her even if you're with Blazer, and plenty also shows that she at heart wants to turn things around too. Just like when she manages to avoid being cut from the Z-Team early on, she takes a picture of it with a big ass smile. In fact, plenty of things skew towards Invisigal in the plot that I can see why someone would argue that in terms of story, Blonde Blazer is the better route too, even if I prefer the route just because I prefer the character. Blazer has a lot less in terms of story moments, and as I said, her side moments with Robert on her romance path are reduced to platonic sympathy on the other routes.
Fuck me, this really is just Twilight for boys.
Once Robert makes his decision about cutting Invisigal or not, he goes back to the villain bar to drink his sorrows away. The bartender makes some crude comments about Blonde Blazer where you get the option to glass him or let it go. Either way, he ends up getting shot by a man who turns out to be Shroud. Robert then gets the shit kicked out of him while also learning that Coupe or Songar, depending on who you cut, has joined Shroud's forces. While Robert is tied up, Shroud reveals that he does in fact not have the Astral Pulse, and he took an empty case from Invisigal. Shroud realizes Robert is telling the truth when he says he doesn't have it either, and concludes Invisigal tricked them both. This is where you learn a fuck ton about Shroud. Firstly, you can read the prequel comics and find out how Shroud and Robert's dad created the Astral Pulse. But Robert's dad was kind of a huge asshole who repeatedly blocked Stroud from becoming a member of the Brave Brigade after Stroud helped him make the Pulse believe it would allow him to join. In fact, he blocked this 5 times before Stroud finally shot his ass.
What a dick.
We also find out the limits of Stroud's powers in this scene. If you don't glass the bartender, he is actually shocked because he predicted Robert would, showing his predictions are still only that, guesses. We then also learn that he hates luck because he plays Russian roulette with Robert and he survives the trigger being pulled. Blonde Blazer then arrives to save Robert, and she admits she's outnumbered but threatens that she can take out plenty of the henchmen before she loses. Stroud, having a great respect for Blonde Blazer, backs off while complimenting her. After the scene, the Red Ring then start attacking the entire city and all hell breaks loose. Eventually, the entire Z team comes together to fend off Stroud's forces, including bringing down whoever joined Stroud. During this sequence, you also get who you didn't pick between Waterboy and Phenomenon. If you're doing poorly enough, Blonde Blazer will come in to assist you. The main thing here is that if you cut Invisigal when the Z team wanted her gone, she won't show up here. It's also entirely possible to fail the city too. Either way, the plot does move on though. Stroud makes a move on the SDN offices and cuts off the power. Roy then finds Invisigal in his lab where he zip ties her to a table. Here, Robert can either leave her tied up or trust her to help out. When Robert asks why she didn't give him the pulse, she says she did it to keep Stroud from getting it by going after Robert. This is a part where I don't quite get Invisigal's logic. Yes, she kept the pulse to keep Stroud from getting it, but it makes no sense for her not to give it to Robert. She couldn't have assumed he would have gone to the villain ball with the pulse to where that scene would end up with Stroud having the pulse. Most likely it would have been with Roy with the suit itself under STX security. Or better yet, Robert wouldn't have been at the villain ball to begin with, because if Invisigal got the pulse back, it's possible the Z team would have been less keen on cutting her, and yes, she still would have been suspended for what happened to Chase, but at least she would have kept Stroud from getting the pulse. I feel like that probably would have evened out in the end. The final battle includes Stroud having a mech of his own, and the entire Z team bangs together to fight it, but Stroud is too good at predicting their moves. Robert and Blonde Blazer take out Coupe/Stonewall while Stroud starts picking them all off. This includes blasting Blonde Blazer into a pit. Things turn though when Chase shows up, awake from his coma thanks to Blonde Blazer's amulet that is the source of her powers. If you went on the date with her, you already knew this, but because she only told Robert, Stroud didn't know about it and couldn't predict it. If you didn't go on the date, this is where she reveals she wasn't born with powers instead. With the help of Chase, the Z team destroys the mech, but the day isn't saved yet as Stroud takes Robert's dog Beef as hostage, demanding the pulse. Here, Stroud gives a speech about his entire plan and also reveals if you cheated on Blonde Blazer with Invisigal at this moment, if you did do that. He also taunts everyone as he is certain he's gonna win now as long as Robert makes a trade of Beef for the pulse. Robert complies, and if you give him the pulse or try to trick him with the fake one, Stroud winks for a moment before the scene moves on. But if you give him both pulses, you leave whoever he wings up to luck. He's pretty pissed and ultimately is unlucky as he chooses the fake pulse that makes him vomit due to it not working correctly. All 3 choices ultimately lead to either Invisigal showing up to kill Stroud if you got the bad ending, or Stroud firing a bullet at Robert that Invisigal takes for him. If you get the bad ending, Stroud is just straight up dead and Invisigal turns to villainy after giving Robert back the actual pulse. If she takes the bullet, Robert beats the shit out of Stroud and you get the choice to beat him to death or let him live. After this, local authorities are cleaning up the mess that the battle left and the Z team celebrates. If you got the good ending, Invisigal is being tended to by medical staff and her and Blonde Blazer have a little heart-to-heart. If you romanced her, then Robert gets a kiss. In all the endings, Robert then has a beer with Mandy who explains the situation with Chase. Depending on your route, she'll wish Robert the best of luck in dating Invisigal, wish him luck in mentoring her, or not know what Invisigal turning back to evil could mean. If you romance Mandy, then the two share a kiss here on the car. The Z team then brings Robert into the celebration and mess with him. If you got the good ending, Invisigal sneaks into the picture.
And that's the entire game. This was an amazing experience. I think if it was a TV show, I'd enjoy it just as much. Though the fun gameplay and merging of making choices for Robert do make it a bit better. I do love a good superhero story, especially one that isn't trying to be over the top goofy or all dark and moody. I have heard rumors of a season 2 coming due to fans begging so hard, and I do hope that happens. But at the same time, I don't know how they do it without creating a lot of extra work for themselves. I mean, some of the choices are simple in the final episode. You end up with both Phenomenon and Waterboy on the same team, and there's other cases like that. And plus, some things like Stroud, you just have a new villain for season 2. So whether or not he's alive or not can be flavor text. I think the big thing is they just need to continue which romance route you have. But they also have to consider whether or not Invisigal turned back to being evil or stayed good. I have seen some people suggest having Mandy be the main character of season 2. Because, you know, Robert's Mega Man again and all that. And she lent her powers to Chase. And it was shown she's pretty bad at dispatching. It's something for her to, improve on. And her backstory is purposely kept secret throughout the game, so it would be a way to expand on that too. I think that would be cool, but it sucked a bit of the life out of season 2. Part of the reason why this game blew up in popularity was the romance options, and you'd be shafting a lot of Invisigal fans doing that too. We'll also just dropping the romance element entirely, so I doubt they do that, but I do think it's a good idea. So I do recommend you play Dispatch. Hopefully if you haven't, you're not watching this part of the video, because I hate to be the one to spoil this experience for you. I didn't expect this video to be as long as it was, honestly, but the story is pretty damn complex for this game. It is the selling point after all. And, well, I do got a smaller video that I'll be working on, so hopefully I can get that out soon. Until then, have a wonderful night and enjoy Dispatch.